joining us for part 2 of our conversation with Ken Patera, the world's strongest man. And now, part 2 of our conversation with Ken Patera. All right, Ken, go ahead.
I remember a police officer. We were still in training camp, and I had been downtown with Vern at a bar called Duff's Bar, owned by Joe Duffy. Joe Duffy was a real famous character in downtown Minneapolis. He had the best bar in town. And so I think it was about midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. The bar's closed at 1, so we had to be out of there by 1.
Yeah.
So Vern's on his way home. And right as the freeway ended, here comes the red lights.
Oh, no.
So a cop pulls him over. And, we were lit up pretty good.
Yeah.
But anyway, the cops, Vern Gagne. He said, yeah. He said, how you doing? He said, by the way, I've been meaning to ask you, does that sleeper hold really work? And Vern says, yeah. He says, could you put that thing on me so I know what it's like?
Oh.
And Vern said, no. Vern says, well, I'm going to put you to sleep. I don't think so. He says, I'm pretty strong. So Vern slaps that sleeper hold on. About a second and a half later, boom, the cop's on the ground.
Oh, no.
Yeah, completely. So Vern's standing over him, and here comes his buddy cop car, pulls up right behind them, and the guy jumps out, pulls his gun.
Oh, no.
He doesn't realize this thing was, legit.
Oh, no.
So Vern steps back and says, hey, officer, he wanted to know what the sleeper hold was like. So I showed him. And luckily, the cop that drew the gun knew who Vern was too, but didn't recognize him as he pulled up.
Right.
So after a couple of minutes, so the other cop says, can you wake him up? He said, Vern, yeah, I'll get him up. So he wakes the guy up, and the guy said, well, you weren't kidding, were you, Vern? I told you. So
wow.
The 2 cops were standing out there on the freeway having a good laugh.
Oh, my gosh.
And people ask me that figure 4 and that sleeper hold and all those wrist locks and toe locks, all that stuff really works. I said, it really works.
Yeah.
I said, what about that full Nelson that you have, that swinging full?
I was just going to ask you about that, your signature hold, the swinging full Nelson.
Yeah. Well, you want me to screw your neck up or just show you how it's supposed? No, yeah, I'm a big guy. This guy was probably about 230, 240, about 5'11".
Yeah.
He was pretty stocky.
Yeah. Wow.
So, and we did this in a hotel lobby. So I slapped that full Nelson on him. Well, I probably did it 100 times, but this one time I'm thinking, we were in a hotel lobby, Hyatt Regency down in Miami, Florida. And I put that swinging full Nelson on him. I put the full Nelson on him, and I swung him just one time. And this was like midnight. It was already late. We must have had 20 Miller Lights in it. And Harley Race was there, and I think Terry Funk, and I think Dusty Rhodes was there too. But there was a lot of us in that. We were all staying at the Hyatt.
Yeah.
So I swung him once, put him down, and I kicked his feet out from underneath him. And he went forward. 2 years after that, I bumped into him and said, hey, Patera, my neck still hurts. I said, I told you.
Yeah.
I said, I didn't even put it on.
Yeah.
You know, I just went through the motions with you.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
you told me that you had a strong neck and that you were up to it. I said, "Is your neck really hurt?" Well, not all the time, but I know there's something there, you know.
Yeah.
I said, "Well, that's you learned your lesson then." But yeah,
Oh,
it's one of those things. All that stuff hurts, you
yeah.
know. It's
Yeah.
like my brothers. I had three brothers play football, and my oldest brother, he wound up being the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks in
Mhm.
1976.
Yeah.
Jack Patera,
Hmm.
and like I always ask him, what's the most dangerous place on a football field? The bottom of the pile, he says. I said, the
Yeah.
bottom of the pile? That's interesting. He says, yeah. I said, why is that? He says, because when you're one of the guys on the bottom, everybody else is on top. That's when they start taking cheap shots.
Yeah.
They'll step on your fingers, they'll bend your fingers, they'll try to poke you in the eye. Now this is back in the 50s and early 60s. They
Yeah.
don't do stuff anymore.
Right.
Well, that Dominic Sue, he plays for Tampa now.
Hmm.
Like when he was with Detroit, he was a cheap shot artist.
Yeah.
Again, he got fined 100 times, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he's defensive player.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the bottom of the pile is the most dangerous place to be in pro football.
Mm. Yeah. Wow.
But anyway, we're
We were talking about your full Nelson, and
oh yeah,
who gave you that idea to use that move? Did you just come up with it on your own, or was it
the full
Vern? Or,
Nelson.
yeah.
I put the full Nelson on somebody in a match. I think it was Rene Goulet.
Okay.
And Rene says, Ken, and Rene weighed about 220, I guess.
Hmm.
And this is way back at the beginning of my career, back in 73.
Hmm.
And he says, you think you can swing me? I said, yeah, I can swing you. He says, he says, I've never seen anybody do that. I've seen a lot of guys put full Nelsons on and pick guys up, but nobody's been able to swing anybody.
Hmm.
Well, I swung in 5 or 6 revolutions, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, he held on to my hand so it didn't screw his neck up.
Right.
And so that then I put him down. He's, God, that's fantastic. He said you ought to use that as a finish hole because up till then I was using a bear hug
Okay. Yeah.
for a finish. And he said, God, swinging full Nelson. He said that should be your signature move from now on.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that's good. Yeah, but my left knee was always screwed up.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of times during the match when I go for the swing and full Nelson and my knee just wouldn't hold up to it.
Hmm.
But that, you know, maybe 1 in 20 times, you know, so basically once a month it would be tender enough. That's why I have 2 knee replacements.
Oh.
I have all metal, 2 hip replacements.
Jeez.
I had my left shoulder replaced twice.
Man.
So that's 2, 4, 6, that's 6 replacement surgeries I've had.
Like a $6 million man.
Yeah. But yeah, between that heavy weightlifting and then the wrestling,
Hmm.
you know, all the bumps and everything
Yeah.
is ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about what was probably one of your favorite matches that you did as either singles or a tag team?
Well, I had over 5,000 matches.
And which one? I mean, you don't have to be your favorite. I mean, just one that sticks out in your mind that was a great match.
Well, I wrestled Bobby Backlund for the WWF belt back in 1980.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was one of 100 times I wrestled. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, this one was in Madison Square Garden, 1980,
Mm-hmm.
and the wrestling editors voted that to be the best match of 1980
Okay.
in all the territories. That was a number one match that stood out. We wrestled about 40 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a hell of a match.
Mm-hmm.
It was. It had a little bit of everything, a lot of scientific type wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of elbows and knees and kicks, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean it had not a little bit of everything, it had a lot of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, we went like two buzzsaws for about 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And we wound up on the floor hitting each other with chairs, and
Mm-hmm.
then we got back in the ring, and I don't know what the finish was. I remember one of our matches was similar to that, but Arnie Skolin, Backlund's manager, threw the towel in after about a half an hour,
Okay.
and the referee stopped the match. I think it's because of too much blood,
Yeah.
and so I had 3 or 4 matches like that with Backlund, all the way from Madison Square Garden to Boston Garden
Yeah.
to Civic Center over in Pittsburgh to the big arena down there in Philadelphia, all over the place.
Yeah.
I wrestled probably 100 times,
Yeah.
and I had some knockdown drag outs with Bruno Sammartino,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that were way up on the list. I had a
Mm-hmm.
lot of good matches with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot.
Yeah.
I wrestled Hulk over 200 times.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I wrestled Andre the Giant 600 times.
Jeez.
Yeah, when you add up all the times I wrestled them in battle royals and
Yeah.
8-man tags, 6-man tags,
Yeah.
4-man tags,
Yeah.
individual matches. I probably wrestled him over 300 times just in single matches.
Wow.
Yeah, because the promoters, it didn't matter if I was in Texas or
Yeah.
in Louisiana or New York or AWA up here in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
And all the promoters like that idea, the world's strongest man against the giant.
Yeah.
And it was just a natural draw.
Yeah.
And the fans ate it up.
Yeah.
And so that was good. And somebody asked me, I remember this distinctly. We were in Hartford, Connecticut,
Mm-hmm.
and my career was winding down at that time. It
Mm-hmm.
was in 1988,
Mm-hmm.
and the wrestling just lost its luster. I had no interest in continuing.
Mm-hmm.
It'd been 16 years.
Right.
And I know a lot of guys like Ric Flair. I think Rick wrestled 40 years.
Yeah.
And but anyway, it just got to be too much. I'd gone through 3 divorces and
Oh
all
wow.
kinds of other bullshit. And so
Yeah.
this kid comes up to me. It was his first match.
Mm-hmm.
He was wrestling some other rookie. And we're sitting in the locker room there in Hartford, Connecticut, and he sits down next to me. And he whispers to me, "Is that Andre the Giant?" Andre was at the end of the table. I said, "Yeah, that's Andre. He's playing cribbage with his manager, Arnie Skolin."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Yeah, that's Andre." That's what I thought. His kid, this was his first match.
Yeah.
He
Wow.
says, "Have you ever wrestled him?" I said, "Andre, have we ever wrestled?" He said, "Yeah, I think so." I said, "What did we wrestle? About 400 matches?" Said, "Oh, no, about 600. I said, "You
Wow.
think it's that many?" He said, "Yeah, you add up all the tag teams and all the battle royals." He said, "Hell, we were the last ones in all the battle royals, and that was over 100.
Wow.
I said, when I think about it, yeah, I think you're right, about 600 times. So the kid's sitting there. He says, "Really? 600 times you wrestled Andre?" I said, "That's what he said." And I said, when I start adding all these shows up over 16-year history,
Hmm.
yeah, about 600 times.
Gosh.
Yeah. So, and I had some great matches with Andre. Oh,
Yeah.
some really good matches.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, when he wanted to work, he could work a match. I mean,
Hmm.
he could do everything.
Yeah.
And especially, in the earlier parts of his career when he was around 330, 350.
Hmm.
When he started wrestling, I weighed about 260.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but he was only about 6'9", 6'10" at that time. But then, he
Hmm.
had that acromegalia,
Yeah.
the giantism. And so he continued to grow. And as he got taller, he got heavier. And,
Yeah.
you know, he liked his wine and vodka and beer.
Yeah.
And he could drink.
Yeah. You're not the first person to tell me that I've talked to on this program. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. When you're in the AWA, that's where I remember you most from because I was a kid and I grew up in Wisconsin. And I remember when you went from the Heenan family to the Sheiks.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I gotta. I'm assuming this is, you know, you got a lot of heat for that, but from the fans and stuff. But what did you get any like threats or things? Because you're an Olympian for America, and then
Yeah.
you go and join these guys from Iraq or the Middle
Yeah.
East.
Yeah.
What was
Iraq.
that like for you?
Well, that was interesting.
Yeah, I
Talk
bet.
about heat.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was already a heel with Heenan.
yeah, right.
Yeah, but then when I swore allegiance to Iraq and gave up my American citizenship, then the heat really got serious.
Yeah.
And people say, "God, Cam, what was your toughest match?" I said, it was pretty hard to tell from night to night. Almost every night was a tough match.
Hmm.
Well, what do you mean? I said, well, in order to get to the ring, I had to have 4 to 6 cops on either side of me
Yeah.
to keep the monkeys off my back.
Yeah.
But once in a while, they'd break through with chairs and um, all kinds of gimmicks.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a war just to get from the locker room to the ring.
Yeah.
And then if I was wrestling one of their favorite wrestlers, I'll give Jay Strongbow, I was wrestling him in Springfield, Massachusetts one night.
Hmm.
And it was a Indian strap match.
Mm.
And I was able to, we'd start the match and I finally, after about 20 minutes, I rolled underneath the ropes and I got that strap off my wrist and I tied the strap to the bottom rope. And I jumped back in the ring and I started pounding Strongbow. And I took the strap, I choked him with it. And the referee, of course, had to break it up. And the promoter sent in 6 or 7 guys to break it up to pull me out the Strongbow. Well, on the way back, before I even got out of the ring, I knew it was going to be a fight.
Yeah.
And the cops knew it too. The cops up there were fantastic.
Yeah.
So I get out of the ring and the cops surrounded me. And then the guys that came in to break up the match, a couple of them jumped out behind me because I told them to. I said, this is going to be a fight. And it was about 100 feet back to the locker room.
Yeah.
But the people had just closed in. I mean, we had a break, like breaking ice.
Oh, wow.
And, and so away we went. And there was like 5 cops on each side of me. And there was a lot of Puerto Ricans up there in Springfield, Mass.
Mm-hmm.
And they started jumping over top of the cops to get to me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just not a couple. There's like 15 or 20 of them.
Yeah.
It was like a gang.
Wow.
And so, man, I don't know how many I knocked out. I got some fantastic punches in. Yeah, the easiest place to fight is in a crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you just had free reign.
Yeah.
So we get back to the corridor, and the cops, each one of those cops was dragging at least one, if not 2, of those monkeys. And we got them back there. They cuffed them all, and they had them laying face down on the floor, concrete floor. And by that time, I went back to the locker room. So one cop comes in and says, "Hey, Kent, we got a big surprise for you out here." So I go out there, and they were picking each one of those guys up. One cop on each side, one cop in the back holding their feet up. They're opening this big steel door with their head.
Oh, gosh.
And they said, "Do whatever you want to these bastards. Yeah, we're fed up with these bastards."
Yeah.
So I said, "No," I said, "you guys have already done enough damage to them."
Oh, God.
But every one of those guys, about 10 or 12 of them, they opened those 2 steel doors with their heads.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And then they threw them in the paddy wagon. But
Wow.
yeah, that's how it was. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just a couple of examples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you were a heel for a lot of years.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of your career, when you were in the AWA, and I guess WWF a little bit, you were a babyface. You were with Brad Ringans as the Olympians.
Yeah.
How did you like that? I thought you were better as a heel. I'm going to be honest with you. Did you like being a babyface, or did you prefer to be a heel?
No, the only reason I tagged with Brad to become the Olympians in 88 or 89?
I believe it was 89.
Yeah, just for about a month and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Brad had a real bad knee, needed knee surgery really bad.
Mm-hmm.
So Wahoo McDaniel and Ray the Crippler Stevens, they were doing the booking for Vern.
Okay.
At the time, they called me, and I'm just opening up my gym. I was opening up Patera's Fitness Emporium
Okay.
in St. Paul here. Real successful gym. Boy, I made a lot of money off that place. But anyway, they asked me if I could come work for them.
Mm-hmm.
They'd like to do this angle and put Brad Reagans and I together as a tag team.
Mm-hmm.
I said, yeah, Brad. Anybody else, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But Brad and I were good friends. And so after I couldn't believe how bad. I says, "Is there any money to be made?" I asked Wahoo that, and he said, "Wahoo." And I said, "Kenny," and he says, "No." He said, "You'd be lucky to make 500 a week." I said, 500 a week? I says, holy shit, how often? Two, maybe sometimes three matches. I said, well, I'll do two matches. I'm not going to do three matches for $500.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
So we did that for, I think, 5 or 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then we dropped belts to, because Brad had to have I think he had a knee replacement surgery.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, his knee was bad.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we dropped the belts to Enos and Bloom.
The Destruction Crew.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We dropped the belts to them at a TV shooting down in Rochester, Minnesota.
Yeah. Wow.
And yeah, and that was,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
I wasn't a baby face in the WWF, wasn't
I couldn't remember. I mean, I remember when you went there and, you and Heenan, had differences, and I thought you were for a while, but I might be wrong. I mean,
I? Oh, I might have been, but
it was a short time. I know that.
yeah, it had to be very short.
Yeah, because when you turned babyface, I was surprised. I was like, I liked you better as a heel because you
Yeah,
spoke well, you did the part, again, and you wrestled well, so you had all those combinations. What made it so great
Yeah.
is you could back it up,
yeah, right.
and that was the great part of it. Is you had the credentials and the abilities to back everything that you said that you were going to do.
Yeah,
And that was that's the one thing I'll be honest, I miss about wrestling today. I mean, I don't watch it that much anymore, like I should probably, but the storylines aren't nearly as good and believable as they were back then.
well, they're all fabricated now.
And everybody's got to memorize their lines, and
Yeah, that's what it is. That they're all reading off a script now.
right.
But we didn't have scripts.
Right.
But what you saw is what you got.
Yeah. And that was the great part about it. It was believable.
Yeah, Mad Dog was Mad Dog, Baron was Baron, the Crusher was the Crusher, and all of us, Nick Bockwinkel, we could all talk.
Yeah, exactly.
And we could all create our own storylines,
mm-hmm.
and they were unbelievable.
Yep.
But nowadays,
it's all pretty fun. The only one I really care for now, I'll be honest, Ken, is I like Chris Jericho.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of people like Chris.
I like Chris Jericho because one, he can speak very well on the mic, and he's a good wrestler, and he's believable.
Yeah.
But he's probably one of the few that are left.
Very few.
That I believe that are good at what they're doing. So
Steve Austin was good,
and Steve Austin. I mean, but you're talking again. It was 15 years ago.
Gone for 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, the one today that to me it sticks out is Chris Jericho, without a doubt.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Yeah. Okay, 2 more questions, and then we'll get you going here. All right. So, what was your favorite territory, or one of your favorites, that you worked in? That you felt comfortable, you liked the storylines, you got like the money, all the chemistry and things. What was probably one of your favorite ones to work in?
Oh, well, the AWA.
Yeah.
For sure. When I first started.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I came back for the second time, it was really good. That's when Blackwell and I tagged up. But WWF,
Mm-hmm.
I went in and out of there 4 different times.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I like Georgia.
Okay.
Georgia Championship Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And Texas. I liked working for Bill Watts.
Okay.
Yeah, down there in Oklahoma, Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I'll say I've heard a lot with Vern. If you worked for Vern, you got paid well and you got time off.
Yeah. Yeah, you only work 17, 18 times a month.
Yeah, and I've heard that from
Mhm.
Jimmy Brunzell and Greg and a few
Yeah,
others that when you're up there, you got paid well and you
yeah,
got time off.
yeah. Like when we worked for Crockett Promotions down there in Charlotte, the
Hmm.
NWA.
Hmm.
Fuck, you had over 400 matches a year.
Yeah.
I mean, you're on the road every. I had 10 days off in 1979.
Mm,
10 days off.
gosh,
I mean, when I went back to the WWF New Year's Day from Charlotte, I was a cripple.
because
I
you
was a
work so
cripple.
much.
Yeah. And yeah, it was pathetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the territories, well, my favorite one would have to be the AWA in the
Okay.
early years.
Yeah.
And WWF, I only worked, in the early years there when I first went in,
Hmm.
less than 20 times a month.
Yeah.
So yeah, but when I was at the WWF, and even when I came back, when Jerry Blackwell and I were tagged up,
Hmm.
I was doing shows for other promoters. I'd go to St. Louis, I'd go up to Montreal, I'd go to Toronto,
Hmm.
and I go work for Jerry Lawler down there at Midwest Coliseum down in Memphis.
Okay.
I even went over and wrestled shows for Paul Bosch in Houston and
Yeah.
Cowboy Watts there in Oklahoma.
Hmm.
I so I let's say if I was making 110,000 a year in for Vern,
Hmm.
I'd be picking up another 40,000 working for all these other promoters.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they pay me just as well,
Right.
but then they pay my airfare
Hmm.
in
Oh,
and out. They pay for my car rental.
okay.
So I had no expenses, except for my beer.
Well,
Yeah,
that's good. I mean, that's pretty good. I mean,
yeah,
do you think that's a lost art going? I mean, because there's only really two or three big ones now. That obviously the WWE and now AEW and maybe uh, Impact. I, to me, it's kind of a lost art. I don't think guys get the experience and refining their craft like they did back.
well, not like back in the day when I started. I think
Yeah,
there were like 20 promotions
yeah,
around the country, and
right,
majority of them you can make a decent living
right,
at any one of them.
right.
If you're the top guy.
Yeah, I
But
just
what's Impact? Like,
that's TNA. It's one that it's out of uh, Nashville. It's on Access, or yeah, I think it's Access TV now. They've been around for about 10 years. Actually, Jeff Jarrett had started it back in
oh,
2002.
that's just
Yeah, it was Jeff's, and now it's under new ownership. But uh, I just to me, like right now, I don't have cable. I we just moved recently, so I have an antenna.
yeah,
But back in the day, I could get two or three different shows from different promotions, and now you can't do that.
yeah, no,
Uh, and so I remember you in the WWF. I remember you in the AWA and the NWA for a while, and in Georgia, and you were just
yeah,
all over the place. I just remember I thought he was in Minneapolis, and then you're
yeah,
down in Georgia, which was great. I mean, it was
yeah,
you kept the variety, you kept it fresh, and that was the great thing about it. Now it's if you're WWE, your character, you know, kind of
well,
goes stale. You're
they own you.
they own you. You can't go and work somewhere else,
No,
or else they're fire you and
yeah,
whatever. You can't go work somewhere else. It's not a handshake anymore. It's you here
no,
for 5 years, and even
yeah,
after you leave, you can't work somewhere else for 90 days now, I've been told.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been told that once you leave WWE,
Mhm.
you can't work in another promotion for 90 days because of what happened with them in the 90s with WCW and then when they had the Monday Night Wars.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
didn't want somebody showing up the next night on a different TV program.
Yeah, right. Well, that's smart.
I guess, yeah, I guess it's smart on WWE's part, but
Yeah, right.
all right, one last question, then we're going to let you go, sir.
Okay.
What are you doing now?
Well, right now I'm having a whiskey and water. Well, it's lunchtime.
Yes,
I,
that's
I got no. I have to go up to my daughter's shop up in Pine City, which
okay.
is about 80 miles north of here.
Okay.
And I told her I'd be up there around 2 o'clock.
Okay.
And she has a shop, Sunrise Apothecary.
Oh, okay.
You know what apothecary means?
No, I do not.
Okay. Herbs and coffees, teas,
Okay. Okay.
all that stuff.
Okay.
And what she's a hell of a artist. She for pottery.
Okay.
She's got a huge pottery studio in her house.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, big one. She has 2 big kilns. All that stuff's going to be moved because I'm building a farmhouse for. I'm gonna have a little apartment on one end, and her and her family are going to live on the other end. And right in the middle is
Okay.
going to be a big, you know, arts and crafts shop.
Oh, well, wonderful.
Yeah, so she can do all her creative things there.
Well, that's
It's going to
wonderful.
be, I think it's going to be 60 feet long and 45 feet wide.
Oh,
So it's going to be a good sized
yeah.
building. I don't know, 7,000 square feet, all one floor though.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah,
good.
it's not going to be 2 stories. It's going to be all one floor.
Good.
And I told her, I says, you know, the house I'm in now,
Mhm.
I've been here 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I have, you come in from the garage into the foyer, you got 7 steps up and 7 steps down. Well, my knees are so bad that I don't want any steps.
Right. I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. All right. Well, I'm going to
Yeah,
let you go.
yeah. So what am I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll let you go,
Well,
sir. I appreciate your time and everything you've done for us here today. And
yeah.
I mean, it's an honor and privilege. I mean, I watched you as a kid, like I said, and it was great. I mean, I was so glad I was able to get in contact with you and do this. So
Well, it
thank you
took a
so much.
while.
It did. We finally got together, though. We finally got together. So once
Okay.
again, ladies and gentlemen, the world's strongest man, Mr. Ken Patera. Ken, thank you so much again for joining our program.
Thank you, Brian, and good luck.
All right. Thank you very much.